Hi, John Tierney and Shaw. And Anseo is in Dromin in mid-South Limerick. We surveyed here a couple of years ago, and we got a Hertz Council grant to come back this year because some of the older headstones were missing. Not that they were missing, but the commission a couple of years ago was to survey the graveyard based on a previous survey, and we had to match their numbers. And that previous survey had missed out a big chunk of the older headstones. And the Hertz Council this year have funded us to come back. So Dromin, fantastic spot. It's remember last time I was here there was a heat wave, and it must have been the only cool spot in the whole of Ireland. There's a lovely breeze on it. It's on high ground, facing north. I'm looking north here now. Up, I presume that's Lochgar over there, is it? And Shane, and then beyond we're looking up into, is it the Schlief Phelums? South Tip. It's got a broad view of the landscape on both sides. It's interesting because it's a big square graveyard, and the community have occupied the whole north side of the graveyard, which isn't really the norm. You usually get more burials to the south of the church, but here all these 20th century burials. So I suppose this is a 20th century cemetery extension in a way, and the Church of the Holy Trinity is inside, and then there's also this domestic block. You can see this structure here. It's fab. Beautiful Limerick sandstone. And as we're moving down to the southern part of the graveyard, we're looking at a different landscape then as well. So I guess we're in the heart of mid Limerick, looking down at the Ballyhowras. So the project that we worked on a couple of years ago was funded by Ballyhowra Development. That must be Kilmallock down there then. Can you see the spire there in the church? Am I right? Yep. Yep. And looking up across into the county, all up there. Big yew trees behind us, and then the body of the church, or of the graveyard, is down here, and you can see all the limestone headstones with the lichen on the back. They're all facing east. I'm now facing east. If they're the Ballyhowras, those low ranging hills, then over beyond, way down, then are the Galties. So this lovely rich golden vale of Limerick, the best of land. Cattle out in the fields beyond us and down below. Prime, just absolutely great territory, great land, big farms, hard working farmers, very much rural Ireland. The Tower House here, so yeah, it is the remains of a tower house, and the tower house had been in the hands, it ended up in the hands of the Gubbins family, and here there's actually a memorial stone for the Gubbins family, the burial ground 1864 of the Gubbins family. My mother's from this neck of the woods, quite close, so the Gubbins would be a surname I'd know, but if I wasn't from, we didn't have the links, I wouldn't know where we were. And here we are inside the Holy Trinity Church. Big enough for a medieval church, but not massive, and just the quality of the stonework is lovely, or the quality of the stone. Who are these Bevanses? The late George Gough Gubbins, Esquire, Maidstone Castle, and the wife of the very Reverend Henry Bevan, M.A., rector of Drumtaniff, County Cork. I don't know a Drumtaniff, I know a Drumtariff. Is that a miss? And here, because it's unusual, we'll go into this. In some churches there are accommodation blocks for the priest, but I think this is probably grander than that. And there's a stairwell around there at the side. Just the quality of the sandstone is just gorgeous. What are they, bed niches or what? It's not a chimney, not a window, bit of limestone stuck in there. That's heat reddened there. So I presume somebody had a fire there at some stage. Okay, so we go back out. So the mention there of the Bevanses being in Maidstone Castle. There was a Captain Ormsby who was there as well. And this entrance into the burial vault is related to the Ormsbys. So that steep step down, and there's probably a barrel vaulted burial chamber down there. I won't go down. I used to go into them early days, but I don't anymore because that's a grave. And rest in peace is what I always think. But this is the kind of thing elsewhere. These kind of structures are probably in other graves, it's just that they've been levelled off and covered over. So this is a good example of one shown to us. So we think that's the Ormsby burial vault, Heath Shin. So we'll go back out here now. Crow overhead. And as we come over here then you can see there's a couple of, you call them high vaults. It's half into the ground and half above the ground. So we're getting these around here, right? This one, the door is off it. And there's all these bryophytes, all these fantastic ferns all growing inside it. The gate is pushed back. I can't see any name on it. It looks like it's been repaired recently. Sometimes there's a name on the back, no. So he's half in the ground and half out. This fellow over here is probably the same, but there is a name on that. So I'd say the one inside the church, like a crypt is a crypt. A crypt is made to take multiple bodies and maybe even multiple families, whereas a ground vault is probably just a single family. Yeah, so look, there's a door in that. That's the norm in this neck of the woods, really. Good strong iron door. What name is there? Thornhills. Michael Thornhill. Here, and what's on the... Erected by R.A. McGinnis. R.A. McGinnis to the memory of his brother John McGinnis, who died September 2nd, 1870. Age 24 years, he only died young. Also to the memory of his beloved sisters Mary Ann and Elizabeth. Harriet McGinnis, who died December 26, 1875. 1870, aged 4 years. So his beloved sisters Mary Ann, Elizabeth. So is it Mary Ann and Elizabeth Harriet? Yeah, so that's two girls who died. So if they're both aged 4 years, then they were twins. That's possible. That's a sad one. That was a sad Christmas. So here we are south of the church, and this is where most of the older burials will be. And this is where a big chunk of the headstones that weren't surveyed. I think it's an engineer who surveyed it first. Otherwise it was a good survey, just some of these interesting old ones, and I can see perhaps why they were missed, because when you look at them you think, crikey, how am I going to read that? Whereas that's what we do every day, we read those lads. Surprisingly, maybe now because all the headstones haven't been read, surprisingly this is the oldest headstone that we've recorded so far in the graveyard, and it's only 1802, and it's for John Stretch, 1802, age 46 years. It's been touched up with paint, and they're kind of catching the yeah, so that's the winged head, and that's a head as well, and he's after catching the old hairstyle. So whoever's touching the paint is actually, he knows what he was here before. I'd say the thing has been cleaned over cleaned. There's ornament here down the side. So the border is usually ornamented as a, and maybe it was painted at some stage, polychrome, multiple colours. Maybe it was. But that's our earliest one here. So it's not that early, you know, normally our early ones would be 1760s or thereabouts. But so far that's the earliest one that we have so far. And it's interesting, it's in the same grave plot as the Gubbinses. And actually we're right alongside. Okay, there have been a number of Bloody Sundays in Ireland, and this grave is related to the Bloody Sunday in in Croke Park in Dublin, and it's the birthplace of Tuam Hogan from Tankardstown. Tankardstown is south of us, closer to Kilmallock. There's another burial ground down there, but Tuam wasn't buried there. He was killed in the Bloody Sunday up in Croke Park and buried down here. And you can see that the community have cleaned off the face there, but they've left the other, the top part of the cross uncleaned. I'm just wondering what's carved in it. He's got the Celtic interlace, more of it there. Alright, so it's very national. It's not a religious, it's not sacramental, it's not biblical. It's more of the Celtic design and the Celtic nationality, or the Irish nationality represented, and then carved in Irish, O Hogan, in the old Irish script. Dulce et decorum est pro patria more. They put a bit of Latin on it too. I wonder why. So that's an important, in the national politics of the graveyard, that's an important one there now, alright. These ones, they look anonymous, but when you get down in front of them, they'll often reveal themselves. Oh, this is a beaut. It's a damp morning here. Damp, it's coming lashing rain at times. But we look at this fella and I can see what we've got. Already we have a Christ and a cross. Sorry no, I went off outside. So when you put up the blackout curtain, it changes the light on the headstone. And what we have here now straight away, I'll take my glasses off because I can't see the screen. You have the crucified Christ, the two hands up, he's crucified to the cross behind, and then we have two winged heads. With one winged head here on his left, with the two wings down. The winged head on the right, one wing is up and the other is down. And that's very deliberate. You'll see that design elsewhere on the grave stones. And who have we got? Okay, John Shanahan erected this stone in memory of his wife, Anne Shanahan. Ferguson. Alright, so she must have been alias Ferguson, alright, spelt with an A, who departed life September 18th, 1783. Oh wait, so this is older than Street, so this is one of the ones that wasn't surveyed, because we only have the dates from the previous one. Aged 58 years. Alright, so this is an early one, so very good. 1783, and it's beautiful, look at that. It's got some kind of plant carved underneath, and then it has the full crucified Christ. The loincloth, he's got 3 crucifixion nails, one in each hand and one going through the 2 feet joined together, and then the soul, the winged heads, beautifully done. If he's signed, he's usually signed down the bottom by the monumental sculptor or the stone carver, but I'm not seeing anything there. And there's a nice ornament there at the bottom. So that's nice, yeah. So that's actually one of the main techniques that we use, is the blackout curtain. Put the glasses on again. Oh yeah. And if you're used to watching our videos, then you're going to recognise this guy straight away. This is Joseph Bolster's. He was a stonemason and a builder in Charleville. Take the glasses off, the hat off, cap back on. I have the microphone attached to the cap. And here now, this is prime Joseph Bolster, a real craftsman of the headstones. What have we got? He carves in false relief, so he carves the space out around the shapes, and then he's actually what he has here. Okay, he has a combined. This is two archangels in one: the archangel Gabriel pronouncing, and the archangel Michael then weighing up your sins and your souls. There, and then on the other side he has Saint Peter with a Bible, I think, in one hand, and then the keys to heaven in the other hand. And at the top it's Gloria in Excelsis Deo, a tapered cross attached to the crossbar on the IHS. So erected by Anne Ryan, alias O'D, in memory of her beloved father Edmund O'D, who departed life September 1841, aged 67 years. Also her sister Bridget Casey departed life July 21st, 1844. Okay, aged 30. May their souls rest in peace, amen. And renewed by the Reverend O'D of Dromin. And then she's signed at the bottom by Joseph Bolster. So this is our guy that we've been following for so long. There's Joseph's name. And what's Kadesha then and saying? What's that say? What is that? Okay, we're going to try the blackout curtain again, because whatever's happening down below, it's unusual. See, can we pull him in? What is that? I'm not seeing it. Can you see it? E C. Oh, Jeannie, I have to knock off the bloody lens. There it is. Okay, let's get this now. C P Y in CLOG. Okay, I'm lost now. I'm absolutely lost. I don't know what we're seeing. I don't know what we're seeing. I'll pull him in the other side. Cowell Sheenish. C E V F N E C L O G. You see, it's signed Joseph Bolster above, so this is an extra add-on. Now it looks as old, so I'm absolutely lost. I don't know what we're seeing here. We'll have to decipher that next time. Maybe you can work out what it is and I'm missing something obvious. But it's a prime Bolster piece there. Everything is carved in relief. He's inscribing his lettering alright. And he's that great big boss in the middle for the full inscription. I don't want to let go of that now. Why am I seeing it wrong? Yeah, I think this is one case where I need another pair of eyes with me. So we'll be back later in August to read the rest of these. But that's a prime Joseph Bolster there. There's nobody else like him. He even has the angels of beard, so I think he's kind of got a wise old man kind of a thing there. And Joseph was Church of Ireland, and he's carving these Catholic headstones. And you can see, it's interesting here that the community kept burying in the burial ground, I think because the place was so big. And then as a result they've kept all the old headstones here, south of the church and southeast of the church. That's quite a group. So if I remember my geography lessons correct from university, this pocket of Limerick developed a farming middle class very early. There was the farming families were making money out of cattle and dairy in the late 1700s, early 1800s, and they were selling into the various markets in the British Empire. 76 years, so 1796. So we're seeing the rise of the mid-Limerick middle classes, farming middle classes. So these are all the ones that haven't been surveyed yet. We'll throw him over the back. What on earth have we got? We'll try it firstly. Move down the lens with just the blackout curtain. This is a very unusual crucifixion. No, it's not, is it? Yeah. There's an IHS, yeah. And then the cross attached to the IHS is not just the cross, it's actually a crucified Christ. There's the two hands up attached to the cross. Oh yeah, so that's actually a halo. That spiky hair effect is a halo. I did a video earlier of a long-haired Christ on a stone in Queen Abbey. This then I'm thinking is more of a halo. But that omega shape on the H is like it's almost as if his hands are crossed. So this is early. I think this guy's working out how to do the carving. But you can see the Christ and the cross. The religious imagery is important. Okay, and I have the lens, and it's representing the rise of the Catholic middle classes of this parish and elsewhere in the county. Just looking at him now, right up against the wall, so prime real estate. Here lieth the body of Geoffrey Welch. So there's Welches all over Ireland, and depending on what part of the country you're in, it's either pronounced Welch or Walsh, and you can hear it's the way they're spelling it here now. This is Welch. Who departed this life January the 6th, 1773, age 65 years. Brilliant. Requies cant in pace, may they rest in peace. Nice and early. Is that Death's arrow through somebody's head? No. And here's another early one. Glory be to God. Here lieth the body of John Carmody. Oh, wait, Carmody's up in Clare. Who departed this life May the 2nd, 1783. Age 76 years. Erected by his wife Mary Carmody. God may he rest in peace. Amen. And there's the F done as the S done as an F. We call it the long S. That was in use if the S was in the middle of a word, they wanted to do an F. Or if there was a double S, they wanted to do an FS. Okay. So nice shaped stones around the external windows there, all blocked up. And then a very strong group. So yeah, normally in the graveyard you'll get a strong group in here south of the church. Small group then east of the church, but here there's as much east of the church as there is south. So I think you're seeing the development, the signs of development of a prosperous farming community here from the late 1700s. I guess beef and then feeding into dairy as well. Look at these, all leaning over. The practice in Ireland, and the advice is don't stand up the leaning headstones, leave them have their own character. Okay, very nice. The odd one is cleaned, but mostly they're left in the condition that they've grown into. So yeah, I like that. There's drops of rain going in the... Okay, for the bolster spotters, this is a bolster here. You can see he's carving in false relief, erected by Rob Cotter, IHS. He's got some rosettes, Gloria in Excelsis Deo. He's got the moon on the one side, and then the star on the other side. So he's gone back to medieval imagery on that. Robert Cotter in memory of his mother Johanna Cotter alias Russell. And these are all Cotters, 1970s. gubbins is there behind, one of them covered in ivy, and there's more over here. So when we come back with the community and read these in a couple of weeks, we'll have some nice early Kadeshin. What have we got? That's so unusual. Very often when there's an uninscribed grave marker brought into a graveyard, you know, it'll be sloping to the side or around the top, but this fella is like a big lollipop stick. He's got a shaft and he's got a big, almost goblet head. He's not. There's nothing that makes it look like it was a sundial, is there? Looks to me like it's broken here in the top. So I think we're looking at a partial. And what's around this side? No. It has that limestone feel of being 19th century. And the goblet shape, no, it's not making it want to be a sundial, no. And as we look over here then, oh, this fella's turned around facing back into the graveyard, which makes it a contender for being a priest. Hard to read now. Underneath, respect. That's unusual. And there, the rain in the Ballyhowras. We've done rakes of graveyards all down there now. Tankertstown over that direction, Kilmallock itself, the Collegiate Church, heading over then to Ardpatrick, and then over to Kilfinnan, down along the Cale Valley then, where there's Abbey and Kilflynn. Peaceful, quiet countryside. And I think there now, Count Shin, that's a Bolster as well. You can tell from here he's got the big boss in the middle. So how many miles are we out from Charleville? 8. And Bolster was definitely selling all up in here, his particular style. What we're not getting is a huge amount of uninscribed grave markers. There's a nice group of them here just in front of us, so they're generally interpreted as being the labouring class who couldn't afford to get a stone carved. Even a small farmer with 10 acres could afford to get a stone carved, and I know that because that's what my crowd were. We're over in Ardpatrick and they have a headstone from around 1817, and at that stage we knew they had about 10 acres, but they were farmers rather than labourers, so I think my own gang kind of prospered as farming prospered in Limerick on our Carey side. And then what's unusual here, because the graveyard is so big, you're getting modern burials in the corner, which I like because it's a continuation of that old practice going back to the 1400s or the 1500s. And then this one, it's what the conservation architect Fergal McNamara I think told me to call cementitious. Is it? No, it's not. It's limestone. I thought it might have been a cement mix, but it's not. It's a limestone erected by William Hayes of Drummond, 1936. So a limestone headstone from 1936. Just looking at these two here now, these could be early. This one is almost Baroque. We'll hold him there. We'll throw this fellow over the back. Oh, man down. Okay, and there's the light now changes just with the blanket without the torch. So IHS, and then those scrolling, and then there's some kind of a flower effect there. No crucifixion. Erected by Mary Dunworth, Rathcannon, in memory of her father, mother, brothers. No, father, mother, father and mother. Robert and Bridget. Also her brother. Give us a date here now. There's a date. John, no dates. The Dunworths and no dates. So she listed all the names, but she didn't give the dates. So I suppose I'd be guessing there, kind of 1830s, 1840s, 1850s perhaps. Could it be a bit earlier? I don't know. Alright, and no date off that. This fella then is striking me as it's got scrolling foliage here, that spiral, and it comes down into a plant, into a leaf head. IHS, here lieth the body of John Dunworth, who departed this life March the 9th, 1747, age 36, erected by his wife Mary. So the Dunworths are there to the left. This is a Dunworth, this is earlier, and it's 1747, so that's the earliest one we've seen so far, and it's a beaut. The lichen on it does it no harm. If you want to read it, just use the torch. And the scale of it is quite small, and it also has that little peak at the top, which is an early sign as well. So a nice ornate piece here now, and it's showing the Dunworths. I wonder, are they still here in Dromin Graveyard? Alright, so I'll leave her there now. Some interesting iconography connected in with the geopolitics. Ireland had been dragged into the British Empire at that stage, and there were some economic benefits. And you can see how some families thrived as farming markets developed. And no doubt they worked hard. That kind of historic development then is represented by the headstones. And then in later the conflict from the War of Independence connected with young Tuam Hogan and Shin. It's a nice place to visit. Really, I can't see it from here now, but just at the tip of the trees down there, there's a thatched cottage, and it's Tierney's. It's the same name as myself, but it's not our branch. There seems to be a branch of Tierney's. I come down to this pocket of Limerick over there. And there was a big fair here in the 19th century. There were two fairs actually. Oh, ladies' bedstraw. You wonder if that's here since medieval times. But over at Tierney's thatched bar, there's a whole stone in the field alongside it. She's a standing stone and there's a hole in it. And if you did a deal, if you bought a cow off a man or a pony or whatever, and you'd shake hands with him through the hole in the stone, the sacred site would kind of pass on the kind of sacred the deal, the contract that you'd made over at the whole stone. And at the bottom of the hill then down below is a holy well, the holy well of the Holy Trinity, tied into Holy Trinity Church here. Am I right? Holy Trinity, yeah. So you're actually in a landscape of community cooperation, farming, going back into medieval times, and family groups who've been here a long, long time. The older family names are down there, and then you can match them with the newer family names. They're all over here. Gubbinses, Hayeses, O'Rourke's, Carrolls, Geary, Moran. Very much names of Kirby, Cronin, O'Riordan. That Hanley? No, Cranley, O'Shea. So our surnames are regional. There's people here all the way of Morans of Shandrum, so that's over the other side of Charleville. So people might have been here first and then moved over 20-30 miles away. Now, if that's north, then I'm looking over towards the west. Kind of, yeah, there's the pub. You see it there? Tierney's. Imagine this as a thriving place for local fairs, and then also there's a sign there on the outside that talks about faction fights in this locality, so I imagine they would have taken place out there. A lot of the faction fights were actually, it was a little bit of class warfare between the growing labouring classes and then the middling and upper and bigger farmers who wanted to have the labourers working for cheaper rates. Something's never changed. And the faction fights would have taken place here. Some of the old families would have had allegiances. It's tied in with the Captain Rock campaign from the early 1820s, and the White Boy campaign from across a broader period of time. And the faction fights here would have been part of those agitation, land agitation, different classes within the Catholic population fighting one another for politics. Everything in Ireland is about politics. Our headstones are about politics, and our headstones are about social status. And then as well, if you've had a bereavement, you know very much our headstones are all about our bereavement and our loss and our grieving. So they're multifaceted aspects of our living heritage. So the survey that's going on here is funded by the Heritage Council. We're be back. The data is online. If you go to Historic Graves and just type in Dromin or Dromin South, you'll find the data says as it stands, and it'll grow, I think, by about 100 headstones in the next month. Okay, like me on Marcin, Slanish.